Welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be breaking down a super fire sample I made for Summer Walker. Of course, her album just dropped, so I thought there's no better time than to do this now. So let's get into it. So obviously a big part of R&B and Summer Walker's kind of sound is lots of real instruments, pianos, Rhodes, stuff like that. So I started off in Lounge Lizard with this electric piano called Wah Sync. I actually brought down the wah a little bit and also brought down the depth of the tremolo so it's not too crazy and not too present. And then I just laid down these simple chords. In terms of effects, I started off with Shaperbox just to sidechain it and make it pulse a little bit. I also added a filter in Shaperbox. So again, it's kind of the same effect, like a sidechain effect, but rather than the volume, it's affecting the cutoff. So it kind of takes off the high end to start with and then brings the high end back in. Next, I added a J37 for some texture. The fake Leslie preset kind of detunes it. Then a vintage verb to push it back in the mix. I thought this was going to be the main sound to start with, but then once I started adding the effects, I thought, no, I'm going to add something else as the main sound. This can be more of a textual element in the background. So I added this reverb to push it back a little bit. The mix is around 50%, quite a long decay. And finally an EQ just to cut some of the low end out. After that, I opened up Analog Lab and found this piano. It's called Nahum's Piano in Loophole 3. I copied the same chords, but I strummed them out a little bit more so it sounds a little bit more realistic and a bit different to the other progression. So I added an EQ, again cutting the lows out, nothing crazy. I did a Valhalla delay, brought the mix up quite a lot and the feedback up quite high as well. Kept the delay lengths quite short, so it's kind of almost like a chorus effect. It makes it sound wider. And finally, a good Hertz Wolf compressor, just to bring the sound together and make it a bit tighter, a bit louder as well. So next I wanted to add some textual elements, some little melodic plucks and stuff like that. So I started off with this one shot from my one shot kit. It's called All Over the Place in the leads section. As you can see, it's only hitting at one point throughout the loop. What I've done is use the slide effect down here. Also for the top one, I brought the velocity quite a bit down. So it kind of fades in and then swoops down with the slide. I did a really heavy reverb to drown it out, and then just a standard fruity delay just to kind of give it a bit more depth and kind of fill out the space within the loop a bit more. And I also panned it to the left so it's in its own section of the beat rather than everything being in the center. Next I did another one shot from my kit. It's called the Fuzzy Prophet lead. Again, it's from the lead section and it sounds like this. So again, that just has a really heavy reverb on it and also a fruity delay so it keeps going throughout the loop. Next I added another piano. It's called Cassette Piano 2 from the Phonoloop. Really good contact banks. I definitely recommend checking those out. Pretty standard piano. I've just set it to stereo and I've also messed with the LFO, so I brought the volume up a little bit. I've also brought the filter down and then brought the resonance up just so it has more of a harsher tone to it and really cuts through the mix. After that, of course, I had to do vocals. I can't do an R&B sample without vocals. I recorded two little phrases and I'll play those now so you can hear what they sound like. For For the effects on the main vocal, I started with a little altar boy, kept the pitch the same, just brought the formant down by 5. After that, I added an EQ, cutting some lows out and then boosting the high end. I added a decapitator just to kind of give it more crunch and more presence within the mix. And finally, this intensity reverb, gentle vibrato preset, brought the wet down a little bit, brought the size and the decay down a little bit as well. What I've actually done is save this vocal chain so I don't have to add them individually every single time. So if you have some effects that you like, if you right click on the mixer channel, click file, save mixer track state as, you can save your effects chains and it makes your workflow a lot quicker. You can just see down here, vocal chain, October 21, it's going to bring it straight in. And then on the background vocal, I added an altar boy again, but I pitched it up this time so it's kind of in a different octave. And a vintage reverb, a little bit smaller, the decay's a bit smaller on this one. Then just to make things easier to work with, I bounced those both into one stem and then just used it here. I didn't really do much extra after that. Next, I added a perk loop from my kit. I just added a bandpass narrow filter, really cutting a lot of the frequencies out just so it sits in a certain pocket within the mix. So that was a cool A section, but I knew I wanted to do a little bit of a switch up, nothing too crazy, but just kind of progress the sample a little bit. So again, I copied the same chords, but I found a new preset. This time it's more of a synth. Again, it's from Loophole 3, the preset's called 18. Next, I added a bass. This one's from my one-shot kit again. I like this section a little bit more empty, but I still wanted to keep the vocals in. So I just reversed it and then pitched it up an octave, chopped a little bit out like here, as you can see, and it sounds like this. The vocals just have an EQ on, cutting some low end and some high end as well. A good Hertz tremolo control with the slow auto pan preset, so it pans side to side. I just turned the noise off and brought the depth down a little bit. In terms of structuring, you've already heard the first two sections, so I started off with the piano and everything, the vocals, the perk loop. Then I've taken the piano out and brought in the pad kind of sound for this section. Then for later on in the sample, I wanted to make it a bit more empty, so it's like a verse section maybe. So I'll just play you what that sounds like. So that's it for the sample. I didn't want to add too much extra because I feel like if you add too much more, there's not going to be any room for the artist. So I'm going to bounce this out and then I'm going to add some drums. Okay, so first let's start off with a snare, rim kind of sound. Next, let's add our hi-hat, just kind of get the bounce going. So now we've got a basis for where we're going. I think I'm going to add some percussion to get the bounce really going. I feel like the bounce is kind of there. Obviously we've got the perk loop in the sample already, so that's helping a little bit as well. I don't want to do too much. I want to keep the drums really simple for this one. I'm hearing another hi-hat underneath there. And I think the last thing we need to add is just an 808, to be honest. I think that's sounding crazy. I think that beat is done, honestly. I'm not going to do anything else to it. I really like how it's sounding. So that's today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you want to see next. And I'll see you in the next one.